The rain-slicked paths of Central Park twisted like veins under the bruised New York sky, and Alex Harper had never felt more alone than in that moment, his heart pounding as he knelt beside the trembling boy whose wide, terrified eyes mirrored a storm he thought he'd buried years ago. "Hey, kid, it's okay. I'm not gonna hurt you," Alex whispered, his voice steady despite the chill seeping through his coat, the boy's small hand clutching his sleeve like a lifeline in the gathering dusk. But as sirens wailed closer and a detective burst from the shadows, badge glinting under the sodium lamps, his face crumpled in a way that shattered the evening. Those eyes, those damn eyes, staring back from the child's face. His own, unmistakable, a ghost from a love Alex had lost to fear and forgotten promises. Alex straightened slowly, his knees protesting the damp gravel, as the detective, tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of jawline that spoke of late nights and unspoken regrets, pushed through the thinning crowd of joggers and dog-walkers who'd paused to gawk. "Step back, sir," the man barked, his tone all business. But then he froze, the words dying on his lips as his gaze locked onto the boy. Ethan, that was the name the kid had mumbled earlier, between sobs about getting separated from his mom during some school outing gone wrong. 8 years old, maybe 9, with freckles dusting his nose and a backpack slung haphazardly over one shoulder, now soaked through. But it was the eyes, stormy gray, flecked with gold at the edges, the kind that could pierce through lies and pull secrets from the dark. Alex had stared into those same eyes every morning for 2 years, back when love felt like a rebellion worth fighting for. "Detective Reyes," Alex said softly, testing the waters, his voice barely above the patter of rain on leaves. He hadn't spoken that name aloud in half a decade, not since the night Javier Reyes had walked out of their Brooklyn apartment, suitcase in hand, muttering about duty and family expectations that neither of them could bend. Javier's head snapped up, recognition flickering like a faulty bulb. Shock, then wariness, then something raw and unguarded that made Alex's chest tighten. "Alex, what the hell are you doing here?" Javier's voice cracked on the last word, his eyes darting back to Ethan, who huddled closer to Alex's leg, peeking out with that unnerving gaze. The crowd murmured, phones held high to capture the drama, but in that instant, the world narrowed to the three of them: lost boy, found stranger, and the man who'd once been home. Javier knelt then, his trench coat pooling around him, and reached out a hand that trembled just enough to betray the steel he wore like armor. "Ethan? Buddy, I'm Detective Reyes. Your mom's on her way. She called it in 10 minutes ago. You're safe now." The boy hesitated, glancing up at Alex for permission, and Javier's jaw clenched, a muscle ticking as he registered the trust already blooming there. Alex felt it too, that inexplicable pull, like the kid was a bridge across the chasm Javier had carved between them. He was wandering near the Bethesda fountain, crying his eyes out, Alex explained, keeping his tone neutral, professional, as if he were just another good Samaritan in a city full of them. "Thought he might have been snatched or something worse. Gave him my scarf to dry his face, see?" Javier nodded absently, his fingers brushing Ethan's hair, but his eyes never left Alex's face, searching for the man he'd known. The graphic designer with the quick laugh and the fierce loyalty, the one who'd inked always on his ribcage in a dingy tattoo parlor on their first anniversary. "You always did have a knack for playing hero," Javier murmured, low enough that only Alex could hear. And there it was, the ghost of their old banter, laced with the bitterness of what-ifs. The rain picked up, drumming harder, and Ethan whimpered, burrowing into Alex's side. Javier stood abruptly, pulling out his radio with a sharpness that cut the moment short. "Dispatch, this is Reyes. Suspect located, no signs of distress. Send the mother to coordinates." Static crackled back, affirmative, and just like that, the spell broke. As they waited under the shelter of a gnarled oak, the silence stretched taut, broken only by Ethan's soft sniffles and the distant honk of taxis on Fifth Avenue. Alex shoved his hands into his pockets, fighting the urge to fill the void with questions. "Why you? Why now? Why does that kid look like he stepped out of our old photos?" But Javier beat him to it. "You live around here now? Last I heard, you were heading west, chasing some dream in LA. The accusation hung there, unspoken. You left me behind." Alex swallowed a retort, the truth too tangled to unravel in a downpour. Nah, still in the village. Freelance keeps me close to the chaos. He forced a half-smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. Javier grunted, glancing at Ethan, who was now tracing patterns in the mud with a stick, oblivious to the undercurrent. Chaos suits you. Me? I traded it for this badge. Pays the bills, keeps the ghosts at bay. The ambulance lights flashed first, then the patrol car, and Mrs. Harlan, Ethan's mom, harried and tear-streaked, barreled out, enveloping her son in a hug that lifted him off the ground. Oh, God. Thank you. Thank you. She gasped to Javier, then to Alex, her gratitude a balm on the raw edges. Javier handled the paperwork with efficient grace, his pen scratching details as Alex lingered, unwanted but unable to walk away. When she drove off, Ethan waving solemnly from the back seat, the park felt emptier, the rain colder. Javier turned to Alex, the weight of unsaid years pressing down. Coffee? There's a cart around the corner. My treat, for old times. It wasn't a question, more a dare, and Alex, against every instinct screaming to run, nodded. As they trudged toward the glow of the vendor's umbrella, Javier's shoulder brushed his, accidental but electric, and Alex wondered if fate was cruel or just late. The coffee steamed between them on a splintered bench overlooking the reservoir, the city lights fracturing on the water like broken promises. Javier sipped his black, no sugar, the same as always, and Alex stirred his latte absently, watching the foam swirl into oblivion. So, Javier started, his voice rough from disuse on personal matters. You look good. Older but good. Alex chuckled, low and wry. Pot calling the kettle Reyes. Those crow's feet are new. Chasing perps or chasing regrets. Javier's laugh was a bark, short-lived, but it cracked the ice. They talked in fits and starts. Alex's thriving design firm specializing in queer advocacy campaigns. Javier's promotion to detective after cracking a string of hate crimes in the Bronx. Surface level, safe, until Javier's gaze drifted to the path where Ethan had vanished. The kid, those eyes. Spooky, right? Like looking in a mirror from 20 years back. Alex's spoon clattered against the cup, spilling foam onto the table. He wiped it with his napkin, buying time, but his mind raced. He'd noticed it too. The echo, the impossible familiarity, but chalked it up to adrenaline, to the surreal collision of past and present. Yeah, spooky, he echoed, forcing casualness. New York's full of doppelgangers. Probably just the rain playing tricks. Javier studied him, that cop's scrutiny peeling back layers Alex had armored over. Or maybe it's karma. You always said we'd circle back. The words landed like a gut punch, evoking nights tangled in sheets, whispering futures that dissolved at dawn when Javier's phone rang with family obligations. His conservative parents in Queens, the abuela who prayed rosaries for his prodigal soul. Alex had begged him to come out, to fight, but Javier chose silence, and Alex chose flight. I didn't circle back, Alex said quietly, the lie tasting bitter. Life did. He stood, tossing his cup in the bin, the move abrupt enough to signal retreat. Javier rose too, towering but hesitant. Alex, wait. This isn't coincidence. I feel it. Their eyes met, gray on gray, and for a heartbeat, Alex saw the man who'd carved their initials into a Hudson River pier, not the one who'd erased him. Feel what? Guilt? Pity? Alex shot back, sharper than intended. Javier flinched. Truth. There's something about that boy. I can't shake it. Before Alex could respond, Javier's radio squawked. Another call, urgent, pulling him away. Duty calls, he said, echoing their old joke, but his smile didn't land. As Javier jogged into the night, Alex lingered, the reservoir whispering secrets he wasn't ready to hear. Back in his village walk-up, the walls closed in, photos of exes and half-finished sketches mocking his solitude. He poured a scotch, replayed the evening. The boy's trust, Javier's haunted look. Sleep came fitful, dreams of eyes watching from shadows, and by morning, Alex knew he couldn't let it go. Not this time. The precinct smelled of stale coffee and desperation, fluorescent lights buzzing like angry hornets over Javier's desk, where case files towered like accusations. He rubbed his temples, the boy's face superimposed on every report. Ethan Harlan, age 8. Mother a single parent juggling night shifts at a diner. Father listed as unknown. Javier had run the basics last night after dropping Alex off, a habit born of insomnia and that nagging pull in his gut. Unknown. The word mocked him, stirring memories he'd buried under layers of routine. Fertility clinics in Jersey, whispered dreams of family with the man who'd made him believe in more than survival. Alex had been the one to suggest it, back when their love burned bright. Surrogacy, a child to bind them against the world's judgments. But Javier's family had found out, the fallout a hurricane of rosaries and recriminations, and he'd chosen the path of least resistance. Silence, separation, a clean break to protect them both. Or so he'd told himself. His partner, Lena, a no-nonsense lesbian with a buzz cut and a tattoo of the rainbow flag on her forearm, dropped a donut on his blotter. "You look like hell, Reyes. That park runaway keep you up?" Javier grunted, waving it off. "Nah, just the usual ghosts." Lena arched a brow, settling on the corner of his desk in her pressed slacks and blouse. "NYPD's token progress," she called it. "Ghosts with gray eyes and a soft spot for strays? Spill, or I'll assume you're pining for that graphic artist type you mooned over last night." Javier shot her a glare, but it lacked heat. Lena had been his confessor since the academy, the one who dragged him to his first pride after the breakup. "It's nothing. Kid reminded me of someone. That's all." She snorted. "Reminded you? Or haunted you? Come on, Javi, I've seen that look. The one that says what if." He pushed back from the desk, grabbing his coat. What if what? Life's not a rom-com. But as he hit the streets, badge clipped to his belt, the what-ifs clawed free. What if he'd fought harder? What if Alex's leaving hadn't gutted him so completely? The village was a short subway ride, and before rationality kicked in, Javier found himself outside Alex's brownstone, staring up at the bay window where sketches fluttered like flags of surrender. He buzzed, half hoping for silence, but Alex's voice crackled through. "Yeah, it's me. Got a minute?" The door clicked open, and there was Alex, jeans slung low, t-shirt clinging from a recent shower, hair tousled in that effortlessly sexy way that used to drive Javier wild. "Detective, to what do I owe the pleasure?" Alex leaned against the frame, arms crossed, but his eyes betrayed curiosity, softening the sarcasm. Inside, the apartment was a riot of color. Canvases leaning against walls, books on queer theory stacked haphazardly, a pride flag draped over the couch like a security blanket. Javier paced the living room, avoiding the photo on the mantel, him and Alex at Fire Island, arms slung around each other, grinning like fools. "I pulled the kid's file," he admitted, stopping short of the window. "Ethan, no father on record. Mom's cagey about it, says it was a one-night thing, but..." He trailed off, meeting Alex's gaze. "But those eyes, they're mine, aren't they?" The room tilted, or maybe it was Javier's world cracking open. Alex's face paled, then flushed, a storm brewing. "Jesus, Javier. You think, after all this time..." He sank onto the couch, head in hands. "We talked about it, yeah? Clinics, donors, the whole nine. But you bailed. Said it was too risky, with your family breathing down your neck." Javier knelt before him, the position intimate, vulnerable, the same way he'd proposed, on one knee in that cramped kitchen. "I didn't bail on the dream, Alex. I bailed on us because I was scared. Scared I'd drag you into my mess. Scared we'd build something beautiful just to watch it burn under their scrutiny." His hand hovered near Alex's knee, aching to touch, but he pulled back. "Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that kid isn't." Alex looked up, eyes glistening, not with tears, but with the ferocity of old wounds reopening. "The clinic mixed up papers. It happens. Rare, but it does. They called me a month after you left, confirmed the surrogacy went through with an anonymous donor match. But the eyes, God, they're yours. I saw it last night, same as you." Silence crashed in, heavy as the rain from before, and Javier's mind reeled. A son, their son, lost in a park like a sign from some cosmic joke. Alex stood, pacing now, his energy kinetic. "I didn't keep him, Javi. Couldn't. Not alone, not after you gutted me. I placed him with a family, good people, vetted through channels. Watched from afar, sent anonymous checks for his school, his braces. But I couldn't face it." The confession hung there, raw and unfiltered, and Javier surged to his feet, closing the distance. Why didn't you tell me? 5 years, Alex. I could've what? Come out. Fight your abuela's curses? You chose the closet, Javi. I chose survival. Their breaths mingled, inches apart, the air charged with the electricity of near misses. Javier's hand found Alex's arm, grip firm. I choose different now. Let me meet him. Officially. As his father. The word stuck, but it fit, unlocking something fierce in Javier's chest. They talked for hours, mapping the impossible, contacting the agency, navigating legal labyrinths without appending Ethan's world. Alex's cynicism cracked under Javier's determination, revealing the hurt boy beneath, the one who'd loved too hard and lost too much. By afternoon, hunger drove them to a corner deli, sandwiches in hand, laughing over mustard stains like old times. But as they walked back, Javier's phone buzzed. Lena, urgent. Hate crime in the park, same spot as last night. Witnesses say it targeted a fairy helping some kid. Sound familiar? Javier's blood ran cold, relaying it to Alex, whose face hardened. They're coming for you because of me. Because you stopped. The threat loomed, a shadow over their fragile thaw, and Javier pulled Alex close on the stoop, heedless of neighbors' stares. Let them come. We've got unfinished business, starting with keeping you safe. In that embrace, tentative and trembling, the past didn't die. It evolved into something fiercer, more vital. But as night fell, Javier couldn't shake the feeling that eyes watched from the dark, not Ethan's, but something colder, hungrier. Shadows lengthened across Central Park as Alex and Javier returned to the scene, the air thick with the metallic tang of fear and fresh paint. Graffiti scrawled on the fountain's edge, fags burn. Yellow tape fluttered like cautionary flags, and Lena waited by a squad car, her expression a mask of controlled fury. Assholes hit fast, she said, nodding to Javier. Broke a jogger's nose for interrupting their tag session. Described our perp as a pack of mid-20s skinheads, rainbow-phobic as they come. Alex scanned the crowd, gawkers, reporters, the usual morbid circus, and felt exposed, his skin crawling under the weight of invisible glares. Helping Ethan had been instinct, pure and uncalculated, but now it painted a target. The gay man who dared play savior in a city that still whispered slurs in boardrooms and back alleys. Javier's hand brushed Alex's lower back, a subtle anchor, as they ducked under the tape. You recognize the style? Lena asked, pointing to the jagged letters. Javier crouched, tracing the air above them. Yeah, same crew as the Bronx beatings last month, swastikas hidden in the curls. They're escalating, testing PD response. His voice was steady, but Alex caught the tick in his jaw, the echo of personal stake. Back then, Javier had confided late-night horrors, raids on queer bars, bodies left broken in alleys, the department's slow grind against bias. It had forged him, that rage, but also isolated him, pushing Alex away when vulnerability threatened his badge. Now, with Ethan in the mix, a living link, a vulnerability amplified, Javier's protectiveness bordered on obsession. We're not letting this slide, he growled, standing. I'll pull CCTV cross-reference with hate logs. Lena clapped his shoulder. On it. You too. Get off the grid for a bit. This feels personal. Her eyes flicked to Alex, inclusive, warm. Call if you need backup. I've got your six. As she strode off, Javier turned to Alex, the park's ghosts pressing in. She's right. My place in Queens. Too far, but safer than here. Pack a bag. Alex balked, pride flaring. I'm not hiding, Javi. This is my city too. But Javier's gaze softened, pleading. Not hiding. Strategizing. For him, for us. They us landed soft, tentative, and Alex relented, the fight draining out. Back at the brownstone, he threw clothes into a duffel. Jeans, hoodies, the sketchpad that held portraits of eyes he now knew belonged to their son. While Javier paced, phone glued to his ear, coordinating with informants. The drive to Javier's precinct-adjacent apartment in Harlem was tense, horns blaring on the FDR like accusations. Javier's place was sparse. Leather couch, weight bench in the corner, a single photo of his abuela on the fridge, smiling obliviously. Not much, but it's mine, he said, flipping on lights. Alex dropped his bag, the domesticity surreal, cooking pasta in Javier's kitchen, arguing over garlic amounts like no time had passed. Over plates at the scarred oak table, conversation turned deeper, peeling back scars. I dated after you, Alex admitted, twirling noodles. A barista, then a professor. Good guys, but echoes. Always chasing that fire we had. Javier nodded, wine glass midway to his lips. Me too. Women, mostly, family pressure. But it rang hollow. You're the only one who ever saw me, badge and all. The admission cracked something, and Alex reached across, fingers lacing with Javier's. Then why run? Why let them win? Javier's thumb traced Alex's knuckle, a map of old intimacies. Fear, Alex. Of losing you to their hate, of dragging a kid into it. But seeing Ethan, it's like fate's second chance, twisted as hell. They lingered there, hands linked, until Javier's radio crackled. Lena got a lead. Perp's a lowlife named Tommy Voss, ex-con with a grudge against Rainbow Riders. Holed up in a Bushwick squat. You in? Javier glanced at Alex, who nodded fiercely. We're in. The raid was textbook. SWAT breaching at dawn, Javier and Alex in observer vans, hearts synced in the weight. Voss went down snarling, ink of hate curling on his arms, and as cuffs clicked, Javier exhaled, the wind bittersweet. One down, he murmured, Alex's hand on his shoulder a talisman. But victory soured fast. At the station, interrogation revealed Voss's crew targeted Alex specifically, tipped off by a photo from the park rescue, circulated in dark web forums as fag bait. Someone's feeding them, Lena said, slamming a file. Insider? Or just bad luck? Javier's face darkened, suspicion coiling. Doesn't matter. We're ending it. That night, back in Harlem, adrenaline crashed into vulnerability. Alex sketched by lamplight, Javier's profile emerging on paper, strong lines, haunted eyes, while Javier watched, brew in hand. You're still the artist who stole my heart, he said softly, and Alex set the pad aside, drawn into an embrace that blurred lines of caution. No fire, just embers reigniting, foreheads touching, breaths sinking, a promise unspoken. We'll protect him, Alex whispered. Ours. Dawn brought a call from the agency, permission granted for a supervised meet with Ethan. Excitement warred with dread as they drove to the neutral coffee shop in Midtown, Javier's knuckles white on the wheel. Mrs. Harlan arrived first, Ethan in tow, clutching a dinosaur book. The boy's eyes lit up at Alex, the scarf man, then widened at Javier, recognition instinctive. You too. They sat, awkward at first, Javier fumbling small talk about school, Alex chiming in with drawing tips. Ethan warmed slow, but when Javier mentioned baseball, the boy's face split in a grin. I play shortstop. Wanna see? The hour flew, laughter punctuating stilted moments, and as they parted, Ethan's hug to Javier lingered, fierce and unprompted. In the car, tears streaked Javier's cheeks. He's real. Ours. Alex squeezed his thigh, solidarity solid. But outside the shop, a shadow lingered. A man in a hoodie, snapping photos, vanishing into the crowd. Paranoia or predator? The line blurred, and Alex's gut twisted. Their fragile family, already under siege. The photos hit Javier's inbox like shrapnel 2 days later. Grainy shots of the coffee shop meet, timestamps mocking their caution, captioned in a private hate group chat Lena had infiltrated. Fairy family playtime. Time to crash the party. Javier's fist slammed the desk, rattling his mug, as colleagues pretended not to notice. Alex, summoned to the precinct under pretense of statement updates, paced the bullpen, his presence a ripple among the mix of straight-laced vets and the handful of out-officers like Lena. This is escalation, he said, voice low, eyes scanning the images on Javier's screen. Ethan's face, blurred for anonymity but unmistakable to them, stared back innocently. They're doxing a kid now? What the hell kind of monsters? Monsters with manifests, Javier cut in, pulling up Voss's confession tapes. The man had cracked under Lena's grilling, spilling about a ringleader. Marcus Hale, a disgraced ex-cop drummed out for brutalizing a trans suspect, now funneling rage into a militia of online trolls. Hale's got a vendetta against PD softies. That's me, for cracking his crew's cases. And you? Collateral, but your rescue went viral in their feeds. symbol of everything they despise. Alex's laugh was hollow. Great. Hero by default, villain by association. He leaned against the desk, close enough for Javier to catch his scent. Clean soap and faint cologne, a tether to sanity. We need to go public. Controlled, press conference, Ethan's mom on board. Starve them of shadows. Javier hesitated, the cop in him warring with the father emerging. Risky, puts a spotlight on all of us. But Alex's gaze held steady, challenging. Hiding's what broke us before. I'm done. The decision crystallized over takeout in Javier's apartment that night. Maps of safe houses spread on the floor like battle plans. Mrs. Harlan, looped in via secure call, agreed tearfully. Ethan's safety paramount. Her gratitude for the angels who'd surfaced in her life palpable. He's always asked about his dads, she confessed, voice cracking. Felt it in his bones. The word dads hung, plural and profound, sealing their pact. By morning, the presser was set. Javier fronting, Alex flanking, Lena handling logistics. Whispers in the department turned to support, claps on backs, offers of OT for protection detail. For once, the blue wall held color. The conference room buzzed with flashes and murmurs, microphones bristling like porcupine quills. Javier stepped to the podium, badge polished, voice resonant. New Yorkers, we stand against hate. This week, a child was endangered, not by strangers, but by fear. Officer Harper, he gestured to Alex, who nodded gravely, acted with courage. Now, cowards target families like mine. Gasps rippled, the room ignited. Questions flew. Yours? Detective, elaborate. Javier's hand found Alex's under the table, squeeze firm. Ours. A son, Ethan, born of love in a world that sometimes forgets it. We won't forget. Alex followed, eloquent on resilience, queer visibility as armor. The feed went live, hashtags exploding, love wins NY, protect Ethan. But as they exited to cheers, a brick sailed through the precinct window, scrawled with lies, shattering glass and illusion. Hill's retort, swift and vicious. Adrenaline surged them to a safe house in Brooklyn, a nondescript row home lent by a queer alliance network. Ethan arrived with his mom, duffel in hand, eyes wide at the fort setup, board games, bunk beds. The first night was magic. Javier teaching baseball swings with a wiffle bat in the yard, Alex sketching caricatures that had the boy in stitches. Mrs. Harlan watched from the kitchen, a quiet outsider finding her place in the orbit. You too. It's like he's always known, she said later, over tea with Alex. I was scared, back then, young alone. But choosing openness? Best gift I gave him. Alex nodded, throat tight. We're the lucky ones. Intimacy bloomed subtle. Javier's arm around Alex during movie night. Ethan's head on Alex's lap. A tableau of normalcy amid chaos. But Hale's shadow loomed. Taunting emails, slashed tires on patrol cars. Whispers of a rally planned outside the safe house. Twist came midnight. Third night. A knock. Frantic. Lena, breathless. Hale's cornered. Raided his lair, but he slipped. Left this. A USB drive, files spilling digital venom. Clinic records, forged to claim Ethan stolen from real families, memes twisting their story into propaganda. Worst, audio of Javier's old family calls. Abuela's prayers laced with slurs, aired to humiliate. Javier shattered a chair, rage volcanic. They weaponize everything. Alex pulled him close, grounding. Then we burn brighter. Call your family, confronted head-on. Dawn found Javier dialing Queens, voice steel. Abuela, it's time. Meet my son. Meet the man I love. Silence, then sobs. Forgiveness, tentative, a bridge rebuilt. She arrived hours later, rosary clutched, but her hug to Ethan was fierce, to Alex wary but warming. Family's messy, Mijo, but blood's thicker than hate. The rally hit at dusk, Hale's mob chanting slurs, torches flickering like medieval folly. PD ringed the house, Lena at the gate, but Javier insisted on facing them. Alex at his side, Ethan safe inside with Abuela's stories. This ends tonight, Javier roared over megaphones, voice amplified. Hate hides, love endures. Hale emerged, sneering, but as cameras rolled, Javier dismantled him. Evidence of embezzlement from hate funds, ties to worse networks. The man lunged, but Alex sidestepped, tripping him into cuffs. Hero again, unscripted. Cheers drown the booze, the mob fracturing under their own weight. In the aftermath, wrapped in blankets on the porch, Ethan asleep between them, Javier kissed Alex's temple. We did it. Alex smiled, weary but whole. Round 1. But as stars wheeled overhead, a new call buzzed. Anonymous tip, Hale's accomplice in the wind, targeting the clinic. The war wasn't over. It was evolving. Weeks blurred into a fragile rhythm at the safe house. The outside world a distant rumble filtered through news feeds. Hale and Supermax, trials looming, queer alliances swelling with donations and volunteers. Javier buried in depositions, his promotion to sergeant a silver lining laced with scrutiny, internal affairs sniffing for conflicts in his personal life. Alex juggled client calls, his designs now emblazoned with Ethan's story. Murals of intertwined hands, campaigns hashtagged Eyes of Love. Ethan thrived, his laughter a counterpoint to tension, baseball games in the yard turning competitive, Javier's throws matched by Alex's cheers. Mrs. Harlan, reclaiming shifts, became family, her diner wisdom grounding their whirlwind. Abuela's visits softened edges, her rosaries now including prayers for the two papas, a term Ethan adopted with glee, bridging worlds. But cracks spiderwebbed beneath the surface. Javier's nightmares returned, visions of alleys, bloodied faces, now featuring Ethan's gray eyes staring accusingly. He'd wake gasping, Alex's arms a harbor, but the distance grew. Javier pulling overtime, Alex sketching alone till dawn. You're drifting, Alex confronted one evening, over cooling stir-fry. Javier rubbed his neck, badge heavy. Department politics. They whisper. Reyes went soft for the boyfriend. Can't afford slip-ups. Alex's fork clattered. Soft? You call fighting for your son soft? Or loving me? The argument escalated, voices low for Ethan's sake, but wounds reopened, old fears of inadequacy, Javier's closet haunting like a specter. I can't lose this. Him, because I failed before. Alex softened, hand over Javier's. You didn't fail. We adapt. Together. The accomplice struck subtly. Clinic records leaked, twisted to claim fraud in Ethan's surrogacy. Anonymous posts alleging gay agenda, stealing straight babies. Backlash hit hard. Protesters at Javier's precinct, eggs splattering Alex's studio window during a drop-by. Ethan, overhearing snippets, withdrew, his drawings darkening, dinosaurs now caged. Am I bad? He asked one night, curled in Alex's lap. The question gutted them. Javier, kneeling to meet his gaze. Never, Mijo. You're the best part of us. They countered with therapy, a queer family specialist, sessions weaving their tapestry. Javier's immigrant roots clashing with machismo. Alex's Midwestern exile forging his fire. Ethan's innocence demanding honesty. Progress flickered. Family game nights where Abuela taught Ethan Spanish curses, to Javier's horror. Alex and Javier stealing moments on the fire escape. Stars witnesses to tentative kisses, promises renewed. Twist unraveled at a department gala, black tie affair in a midtown ballroom. Javier's invite a nod to his heroism. Alex accompanied, sharp in a tailored suit, arm linked defiantly. Toasts rang, but undercurrents swirled, veteran cops eyeing them, whispers of agenda. Lena, radiant in sequins, pulled them aside. Watch your six. IA's got a mole, feeding Hale's remnants. The evening peaked with Javier's speech, voice steady. Justice isn't blind. It's colored by the lives it serves. Mine's richer for it. Applause thundered, but as they exited to the terrace, a figure lurked. Hale's sister, face twisted in grief-fueled hate. You stole everything, she hissed, gun glinting from her clutch. Time fractured. Javier shoving Alex behind a planter, Lena tackling her, the shot wild but shattering a vase, shards flying like accusations. Chaos reigned. Medics, statements, the sister cuffed and catatonic, her manifesto spilling bile. Orphaned by their kind, radicalized online. Javier emerged unscratched but shaken, holding Alex in the ambulance bay. Too close. Alex nodded, pulse racing. But we faced it. Dawn brought clarity, relocation talks, a quieter life upstate. But first, closure. They visited the clinic, records sealed anew, the director, a stern lesbian with a soft spot for second chances, handing a sealed envelope. Ethan's original file, unredacted. Inside, confirmation, Javier's donation, Alex's selection, a mix-up in anonymity that fate hadn't aired. Meant to be, Alex breathed. Javier teared up. Ours. Re-entry tested bonds. Ethan returned to school under guard, bullies neutralized by assemblies on allyship. Abuela hosted a baptism, not religious, but symbolic, water from the Hudson blessing their unit. Mrs. Harlan dated a kind firefighter, her smiles freer. But Javier's promotion soured, brass offering it contingent on discretion, code for closet. He refused, storming out, badge tossed on the desk. Not again. Unemployment loomed, but solidarity surged. Lena's squad donating hours, Alex's network pitching freelance security gigs. In the void, Javier coached Little League, Ethan blooming under his glove, Alex capturing it in photos that sold to magazines, funding their dreams. Climax brewed in a storm-swept park, not Central, but a local green in Brooklyn, annual Pride picnic. Families picnicked, rainbows waving, but scouts spotted Hale's last acolyte, a teen radicalized, backpack heavy with intent. Javier spotted him first, casual in joggers, but instinct flared. Alex, Ethan, behind me. The kid bolted, bag swinging, and pursuit ignited. Through trees, over benches, Javier's lungs burning. Alex flanked, phoned to Lena, Ethan safe with Abuela. The chase ended at the water's edge, teen cornered, sobbing as the bag revealed not bomb, but flyers, hate, but harmless. They said you'd destroy us. The boy wept, and Javier knelt, echoing his own youth. Hate destroys itself. Walk away, choose better. Cops arrived gentle, diversion program offered, a seed of redemption planted. In the afterglow, under picnic blankets, Ethan asleep on Javier's chest, Alex leaned in. Proud of you. Javier kissed him slow, public and unapologetic. Of us. But as cheers rose, a final shadow. Anonymous letter to Javier, postmarked Queens, Abuela's handwriting, forgiving but frail, a heart attack looming. The call came midnight. She'd passed peacefully, rosary in hand. Last words. Tell the Pappas. Love wins. Grief crashed, but in the funeral's wake, unity solidified, eulogy shared, Javier and Alex vowing to honor her by living loud. Ethan placed a drawing on her grave. 3 figures, eyes linked, dinosaurs guarding. Months unfurled like tentative blooms. The safe house traded for a co-op in Prospect Heights. Brownstone with a yard, rainbow flag fluttering beside Abuela's Virgin Mary statue, a nod to blended legacies. Javier launched a consultancy, training PD on queer sensitivity, his gravel voice commanding boardrooms, scars as credentials. Alex's firm exploded, murals commissioned nationwide. Ethan's story anonymized but inspirational. Mrs. Harlan moved nearby, her diner promoted to manager, weekends filled with potlucks where her firefighter Beau grilled stories taller than the skyline. Ethan, now 9, navigated 3rd grade with a pride pin on his backpack, friends diverse, questions fielded with age-soft truths, 2 dads, 1 big love. Yet peace was earned, not given. Nightmares lingered. Therapy a weekly ritual where Javier unpacked machismo's chains. Alex grieved his own losses. Estranged parents in Ohio. Bridges burned in coming-out fury. They called me abomination, he confessed once, voice muffled in Javier's shirt. But you made me holy. Javier held tighter, their bed a sanctuary of slow explorations. Not passion's blaze, but embers banked deep, touches mapping forgiveness. Dates revived. Jazz clubs in the village, hands clasped under tables, stolen dances where Javier's 2 left feet earned Alex's laughter, pure elixir. Pride that year was triumph. Float with their faces, Ethan waving from atop, confetti raining like absolution. Conflict resurfaced subtle, a custody petition from a distant relative of Mrs. Harlan's, unearthed by Hale's echoes, claiming traditional unfit. Courtrooms loomed, lawyers sharpening briefs, but they fought unified. Testimonies from Lena, the therapist, Abuela's priest even, attesting love's primacy. Ethan testified via video, small voice steady. They're my dads. We fit. The judge ruled swift, adoption formalized, Javier and Alex signing as co-parents, rings exchanged in a quiet ceremony post-hearing, silver bands etched with gray eyes. Till the storms pass, Javier vowed, and Alex echoed. And beyond. Surprises peppered the path. Ethan's first crush, a classmate with braids and boundless energy, handled with ice cream and hearts are colorblind talks. Javier's book deal, memoir on badges and rainbows, top charts, funding college funds. Alex discovered letters from his parents, post-therapy regrets, a reconciliation lunch awkward but opening. Twists turned tender, a clinic reunion, meeting the surrogate who'd carried Ethan, her hug maternal, stories shared over cake. Felt you both in him, she said, and tears flowed free. Climax crested unexpected, a national summit on hate crimes, Javier keynoting, Alex moderating panels. Protests brewed outside, remnants of Hale's ilk, but inside, dialogues flowered. Cops and activists bridging, stories swapped like ammunition against division. As Javier spoke, eyes like mine saw a boy lost. Now they see a future found. The room rose, ovation thunderous. Outside, rain fell soft, washing slurs from signs, a rainbow arcing defiant. Back home, Ethan greeted with hugs, dinosaur roar masking excitement. Did you win? Javier scooped him high. Every day, buddy. In quiet coda, years later, Ethan team tall, pitching no-hitters, dating with Javier's wary nods and Alex's sketches of awkward firsts. The park called them back. Central, Bethesda fountain gleaming. They sat where it began. Alex and Javier on the bench, Ethan tossing skips on the water. Remember that rainy night? Alex murmured, head on Javier's shoulder. Javier nodded, arm encircling. Lost boy found us. Ethan turned. Those eyes, sparkling. Story time. They wove it anew. Hero, detective, the magic of gray gazes, omitting shadows for light. As dusk painted gold, Ethan asked, happy ending? Javier pulled them close. The best kind, still writing. And in that circle, love's drama resolved not in finale, but continuum. Misunderstandings mended, prejudices pierced, discriminations defied. Surprises lingered in laughter, conflicts in growth, climaxes in quiet victories. For Alex and Javier, the boy with their eyes was compass, their bond the map. Navigating storms with hands held, hearts aligned, a family forged in the fire of what once was lost, now eternally found.